As Ibarra's carriage passed through the bustling streets of Manila, a flood of feelings washed over him. The lively sights and sounds around him felt both comforting and overwhelming. Carriages were rushing by, filled with individuals dressed in a kaleidoscope of colors, Europeans in refined attire, Chinese merchants sporting their distinctive garments, and locals in traditional outfits, all contributing to the vibrant life of the city. Each face, each sound rekindled memories long buried deep in his heart. Ah, the noise of the city is so alive, he murmured to himself, unable to suppress a smile as he watched the rhythmic chaos. The sounds of fruit vendors calling out their wares, the clatter of cartwheels rolling over the cobblestones, and even the gruff shout of a portly shopkeeper trying to sell his goods created a cacophony that was strangely uplifting. Yet, just a night ago, he had felt a heavy sadness weighing him down. How had the same scene transformed in his mind with the light of day? These streets were still unpaved, and the dust kicked up by the relentless sun swirled around him. Passers-by coughed as they struggled to see through the haze. Ibarra's memories turned to the countless times he had seen women unwittingly lose their embroidered slippers as they navigated the muddy streets after a downpour. How many times have I seen a lady in dismay? He chuckled softly to himself. His laughter was quickly tempered by a sight that sent a shiver down his spine. A line of convicts, dressed in ragged camisas and short pantaloons, dragged heavy chains as they labored to repair the street. Each prisoner bore a shaven head, and their eyes were devoid of hope. Ibarra could still hear the crack of the whip wielded by one of their own, guiding them with cruelty. He winced as his mind wandered back to a painful memory from his childhood, a scene that forever altered his perception of life. "Senor, could you pass me the iron?" one of the prisoners asked hoarsely, his eyes casting desperate glances at Ibarra's carriage, and for a fleeting moment their gazes locked. Ibarra felt an ache in his heart. He remembered a scorching afternoon years before when he had come across a lifeless body sprawled in the street, eyes half open. The people had hurried past, indifferent to the tragedy unfolding before them. "It is such a common sight," many had said, and even at that tender age, Ibarra had understood their disillusionment. "Do not forget that you are part of something larger," the old priest's voice echoed in his mind, reminding him of the values imparted to him in his youth. "Knowledge is a responsibility, not a privilege." Just then, the carriage rattled slightly over the uneven cobblestones, shaking Ibarra from his thoughts. He glanced out at the familiar yet transformed streets. The old Puente de Barcas, once a humble pontoon bridge, had been replaced by a grand construction that loomed over the water. Except for some almond trees in the plaza of San Gabriel, much had changed. Ibarra barely recognized the now imposing Escolta, filled with new buildings that tried and failed to replicate the beauty of those that had come before. "Padre Damaso always said change is the enemy of tradition," he mumbled, recalling their conversations. As they crossed the Bridge of Spain, he felt the sunlight glisten on the water below, reminding him of countless mornings spent rowing towards Uli Uli. "Look at the beauty of it all!" exclaimed a voice from behind. It was Capitan Tinong, passing by in a lavish carretella with his wife and 2 daughters. "Isn't this city vibrant? Come join us for lunch." "Thank you, Capitan, but I have things on my mind," Ibarra replied with a polite smile. "Perhaps another day." "Don't let your worry consume you, young man. There's joy to be found in our homeland. We must celebrate what we have." As they moved on, Ibarra desperately wished to escape the storm brewing in his heart. The laughter of cigar makers echoed from the nearby factory, and he couldn't help but grin. "How I recall that awful smell from my childhood," he laughed to himself, but the sound quickly faded into contemplation. His gaze fell upon the Botanical Garden, a hollow version of its European counterparts. "They're flourishing there," he thought, his heart heavy with disappointment. "In the colonies, gardens bloom effortlessly, yet here, the petals barely open." He turned away, feeling the weight of stagnation pressing upon him. Then he caught sight of the old city, still guarded by ancient walls, standing like a sickly girl adorned in garments from a more glorious past. As his mind wandered away from Manila, he let his thoughts drift towards the vast sea. On the other shore lies Europe, he recalled, longing for the buzz of a life richer than what surrounded him. Is it possible to find happiness across such a distance? He wondered. What does it mean for a nation to bloom? The little mound in Bagumbayan Field soon caught his attention. Ibarra paused, a mix of sadness and warmth blooming within him. It reminded him of the priest who had opened his eyes to knowledge and justice. That man taught me the importance of courage in our pursuits, he reflected. He could still hear the priest's farewell words. Knowledge belongs to the brave. Go forth and share it. No, I cannot just turn my back, he murmured. The Philippines deserves so much more. I must honor this fatherland. It is my responsibility to push us forward, to fight for our future. His resolve solidified, Ibarra declared fiercely, "The Philippines first, my homeland, my heritage." His thoughts were interrupted as they passed through Ermita, where colorful houses rose from the remnants of despair. Ibarra barely glanced at them, his soul torn between pride and deep-seated frustration. The carriage continued on its way, and the vibrant sounds of the city surrounded him. Yet Ibarra remained in his world of memories and aspirations, aware of the challenges that lay ahead. The road stretched before him like a pathway toward the unknown. As he prepared to embark on this journey, he steeled himself for the trials that would test his strength. Perhaps, he thought, in reclamation of hope, the fatherland could rise anew.